Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the United Star. And there's breaking news coming in. These 3 days has been absolutely incredible in the football cycle. Manchester United have some fantastic news that Ed Woodward has stepped down from his positions at the club. News has come that Angeli has stepped down at Juventus as well. Chelsea, Man City, all of these clubs, Atletico Madrid have already pulled out of the Super League. But what we want to do here is step back for a minute and understand what has happened here. The European Super League is essentially an idea born out of American elitism and capitalism. Look at the people leading it. Stan Kroenke, there is Glazers, there's Henry, and there's JP Morgan who's backing it. What they're trying to do is essentially Americanize a sport that was incredibly based on the fundamental ideas of openness, on the fundamental ideas of promotion, on the fundamental ideas of equality. And what they're trying to do is what America is brilliant at doing, is what they're trying to do out here as well. They're trying to take the sport away from the fans, they're trying to take the sport away from the people who built it. And quite rightly so, the fact that every single fan in the world, irrespective of club, irrespective of country, has come together and spoken out against the ESL is what has led to the resignation of these higher authorities. We've got Woodward out of the club, Angeli is out of Juventus. We need the Glazers out. We need FSG out. We need Kroenke out. This is not about one club. This is about football as a whole. They've taken the game from the people who made it, the workers. Arsenal, for example, it comes from a place where ammunition workers. That's why they're called the Gunners. Manchester United come from dock workers. Liverpool, the same. And they've completely taken it out from there. These guys were supposed to be the custodians of the future of our club, not to lead the club into a direction that we never wanted it to go into. And for that very reason, this ESL, first of all, was a wrong idea and should have never been put in place. And to discuss why Woodward has resigned and what happens next, we have Sid, Priyan, and Vishesh here. So, guys, jump in. And does this mean that it is the end for Joel Glazer and his army of capitalists?
Okay, I'm going to comment here. So, we all have had our own separate video for the first time talking about this issue, and Prasham obviously didn't, so we all got to see his rant. But 24 hours ago, we weren't smiling. 24 hours ago, we were dropping videos of sorrow. We were dropping videos of hurt, of hatred. Of you can say whatever you want, but the point that I'm trying to make is there are a lot of things that are happening in the world of football that needs to be taken under consideration, starting with how big a word players and fans have, and that's finally being seen. I don't think the clubs have backed out because UEFA put the conditions stating that if they take part in the Super League, then they can't take part in the Champions League or they can't take part in FIFA. I think the clubs have made the decision solely based on how the fans have reacted and how ex players have reacted. And Patrick Bamford said it completely right in his Leeds interview that when it comes to topics such as racism, the UEFA doesn't stand up, FIFA doesn't stand up, even fans don't stand up. So it's surprising to see them care about it all of a sudden. But that being said, it's a great step that's being taken. Obviously, Woodward being out is something that we wanted for ages, and this so-called American change of football to soccer has caused it. Will the Glazers be out next? You can't say much, but without Woodward, are Glazers anything? That can be another question that can come up. But yeah, it's a good day in football, and football's united. But the bigger question is, how do you punish these clubs? Because I know that the 14 clubs met. I know there was a captain's meeting that also took place. I know Harry Maguire had a fight with Ed Woodward. I know all of that happened, and from that, what I gather is those 14 clubs, those captains don't have an issue with the teams and the managers. They have an issue with the owners. Now, obviously, you cannot push the owners out. So how
No,
do we
Vishesh, I
go?
want to come in here. There are multiple reports coming out from the UK saying that they might move to a model where the government forces a 51% fan ownership of the club. There have also been multiple
It
reports.
isn't Prasham, isn't that what is done in Germany, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes, so that's done in Germany. Only three clubs are given a pass on it. It is done in Germany, and Manchester United's share has fallen by 6% since the news has come out at the time of shooting it. At least I'm very happy about that as well. And there are also multiple reports that are coming out that if this doesn't, which it seems that ESL is not going to go through anymore, the Glazers are very much open to selling the club because of the embarrassment, not just the financial loss, but the embarrassment they're facing as well from this
Yeah,
decision.
I'm going to comment here, and this is hilarious. Conor McGregor has just come out and put a tweet. Hey guys, I'm thinking about buying Manchester United. What do you think? It is an absolute joke as to how things are going, but I'll leave it to you guys. I think I've said a lot already.
And before we get into it, I just want to give a special shout out to Marcus Rashford, Luke Shaw, Bruno Fernandes, who came out first,
Maguire,
and Maguire, obviously.
Maguire.
I think no other players from the top six clubs have come out and said anything as far as I know.
Milner.
And I think it's just, yeah, I mean, Milner.
I think
said
Kevin De
it for
Bruyne,
sure.
James Milner, these
True.
people also have come out.
Yeah.
Pep Guardiola and Jurgen
Pep
Klopp
Guardiola,
were
Jurgen
absolutely on point in their press conferences, and the questions they raised are very valid. But yeah, Priyan, you're absolutely right. These players from United deserve a big up because
Fantastic.
our
Yeah.
owners are apparently the ones who are driving this absolute
Exactly.
travesty of a saving the football
And
campaign.
we can see the connections too, right? Ed Woodward was an ex JP Morgan employee. He was the one who brokered the deal for Glazers to buy United. And now JP Morgan is the bank that is financing this entire ESL project with 5 billion, whatever currency it is in. I don't know. But yeah, Ed Woodward definitely has connections to this, and he had to resign. There are reports that he was going to resign anyway at the end of the season. I don't know what the truth is, but I'm happy he's gone. It's a good riddance. He can go rot in hell for all I care. I don't care about him. I'm happy he's gone.
But Priyan, it's not just it's Ed Woodward it's also the Glazers. This entire system of not having teams being relegated. You don't care of what you win. It's essentially taken out all the worst things from American sport, because American sport also has a system of drafts. It also has a system of equality in that sense. But they just took all of that out, and what they've essentially tried to do is how they can make the most money, and
Yeah,
that
and
is the biggest problem.
It's simple elitism, and I don't know how do you think that you deserve a European spot for having done nothing in the entire season? Why should Arsenal get a spot? Why should Spurs get a spot? We've been getting top four last 2 seasons. Before that, we've been having to fight for our top four position. Why should we be assured a top four, a European spot? Why? What is great about United?
Let me talk from a very hypothetical devil's advocate point of view that I've been thinking from a really long amount of time. Even if you started something known as the European Super League, I am not against it. If they think that the Champions League is not is, I mean, at the end of the day, UEFA is also taking money. They're also extending the tournament more, making more games, blah blah blah. But if you have a first season of the European Super League in which you do pick these so-called big six, pick Bayern, and have a selective method, that is fine for one season. I don't see how you have the right to continue that for a 23-year period. I mean,
But
you
Vishesh,
start
but
an
Vishesh, you know what?
innovative season with like that, and then have like 4 slots for the league, for EPL, 4 slots for La Liga, and so on and so forth.
But Vishesh, even if you pick the big six from the Premier League,
Yeah.
I forget Spurs making it to the Champions League. How long have Spurs actually finished in the top six for?
Yeah.
For about 4 years, 5 years in the past decade, they've finished.
It's just the new stadium that they have. I think that's what's given
It's
them.
about it. So essentially, it's just about lining pockets, because Vishesh, Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest have more European cups than Juventus, Atletico Madrid, Spurs, Arsenal. Six of the clubs that are part of this so-called Super League. City, of course, is part of this Super League. If you put all of them together, these two clubs have more European trophies than that. So what historical legacy are you looking at of the past 3 years, of the past 4 years? Or just the fact that Spurs have a stadium that can be converted into an NFL stadium overnight? Is that what you're looking at?
That's
And whereas Spurs haven't even won the league in the recent years. Leicester have won the league, and they've been performing better than Spurs since then. Why are they not being included?
That's the point. That's the point, guys. What we need to understand, and what I think the fans understood when this was released, is the top six is very flexible. 30 years ago, the top six wasn't the top six it is today. And 50 years ago, the top six did not include the likes of Manchester City. Forget that. 30 years ago, it did not include the likes of Manchester City. So it's very flexible with how things change and how.
10 years ago, it didn't
10 years
include the
ago,
likes of
it didn't.
Manchester City.
And exactly.
And let me tell you this, Vishesh. In 2001, Manchester City were playing a playoff final to get into the Premier League.
Yeah,
And Spurs had been crashed out by, I think, Birmingham City. It was in the FA Cup. So this is the legacy. What are we talking about? FSG has won one Champions League and one Premier League for Liverpool. They haven't done anything for the 5 other Champions League or 18 other English league titles Liverpool has won. Ed Woodward, and it's so evident to see that since the Glazers took over, the only man who was responsible for our success was Sir Alex Ferguson. The same thing with the Arsenal team. The only man responsible for getting Arsenal that top four position and a FA Cup every now and then was Arsene Wenger. As soon as these two figures have left their clubs, look at the decline. Arsenal have fallen back so far behind. We've fallen back so far behind from where we were. And we're just trying to rebuild manager after manager after manager, and we've gotten nowhere. It's clearly about lining the pockets. And if this Super League would have gone through, what would have happened? A guaranteed spot, a guaranteed payment coming through. The Glazers would have sat there, not invested a penny, because winning doesn't matter anymore. You're going to get the 150 million euros every year, not invest in the squad at all, and just absolutely run away with the money.
So
We've spoken so extensively about the Glazers. We're forgetting another key man here, which is Florentino Perez. That man is an absolute scum. He's an absolute scum.
He
There
should
is
be
no.
arrested for all I care. I think
it's
for
just,
what he's done, for what he's tried to
it's
do.
hilarious. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I think
When I
there's this pressure on him. There's pressure on him to resign tonight.
forget pressure. It's hilarious. I woke up today to the statement that 16 to 24-year-old kids are not watching football
Yeah,
for the possible reason that football is too long. So
and he
we
wants to
should
make it
probably-
short.
I just saw a tweet. I just saw a tweet that all the ESL high ups, they got bullied by those 18 to 20, 16 to 24-year-old football fans.
Yeah,
No, but I
this
tell
is
you,
what
Vishesh, why the
this is how we
16 to
bullied them.
No,
We
why
bull-
the 16 to 24 years aren't watching? Because
We
Sky
never
wants
taken a
us to
thing.
pay 400
Shutting
pounds
down.
a month for a subscription in the UK. That is
No,
why we're not watching the
Ashram,
sport.
let
And
me tell you one thing, okay? We can keep talking about it. Each so-called pyramid of football or whatever you're going to say cares about the money. UEFA cares about their money. That's why they're making a 30-16. Why did Sky Sports, BBC, all channels go against the likes of the Super League? Because they recently signed a contract with the Champions League for coverage and for broadcasting rights. So all the money right now for them was also put into a competition which would have no value whatsoever come the Super League. So when we look at it, everyone wants their money, and the only reason this topic has been, you know, exploded to this level is because pockets are being cut from each and every individual that's being hit by it.
but Vishesh,
I
the
think-
thing is, Sky would be the first one to flip and get Super League
Yeah.
coverage as well.
Yes,
The-
yes,
I-
100%.
I personally believe, had it not been for the likes of Gary Neville, Carragher, Rio Ferdinand, Roy Keane, Souness, had it not been for these guys within Sky and BT, I don't think Sky and BT would have a problem with this either. Because imagine how much they could charge for this kind of a model. So I completely agree with you. I think Sky, BT, UEFA, FIFA, the Premier League, I think the Premier League rather actually does a good job in splitting its revenue. But these four, even UEFA pays Manchester United so much more money based on historical performance. What has historical performance got to do with in sport? It's just absolute blatant bullying of the smaller teams. And this is what I want to ask Sid. Is this the best thing that has happened to football in the last decade or 20 years? Is this the tipping point?
I mean, something like this should have happened years back. The first season when Woodward was in charge of the club, he should have gone because it was absolutely diabolical what he did that summer. In fact, that season. And then we've seen 8 years, as we've repeatedly said, 8 years of bad decisions. But like I said in my latest video, this is not the end. Our battle, the battle of Manchester United fans, is against the Glazers. Woodward is just a part of it. This is 1/3 of the battle won. Why 1/3? A, Woodward's gone. B, Glazers need to go. 3, we need competent people to take over the club, and we need the fans to take charge of the club.
I think there's a small thing that we need to understand when we're talking about Manchester United. To a certain degree, we are headed in the right direction once Darren Fletcher got appointed, once the other guy got appointed in their respective.
But Vishesh,
Am I saying that the
couldn't you say
owners
that's
are?
just matrix? That's just matrix because
But Vishesh,
Murtagh
I
has
have a
been good with
counterpoint to that. Nicky Butt left because Darren Fletcher and Tim Murtagh were appointed
Exactly.
in their positions they were.
Exactly.
So clearly there was something not right at the club, and there is yet not right at the club. And like Sid has said, Priyan, I think you'll also agree, the Glazers need to be gone as soon as possible.
It's a toxic environment, man. You think about, see, like I said before, I think United has been at the forefront of this entire ESL formation. They've been working very closely with Fiorentino Perez to make sure that this happens. And what is to stop them from doing this again? What is it? It's a toxic environment. There's been no communication with the manager, with the players. They've been left completely unaware
Yeah, and
of
forget
the
that the
entire
audacity
situation.
to tell your manager 10 minutes before a kickoff.
Exactly.
Exactly.
The
Not
audacity to tell your manager about that.
And he
just
doesn't
not
know
the
anything, and
manager,
he
the
has to
players
face the press
also.
for that. Yeah, all of it,
Exactly.
all of it. And the worst part is that he doesn't have the balls to come out and talk to us in front of the media. He
No,
sent
Precisely.
out
no, no,
the
no, no.
press
You
release
And
know,
and
all
all
the
of
these
that.
fan forums that are held all the time.
that's it. The best part is
Uh,
this. He talks to the fan clubs on Friday, a day before, 2 days before the game, and
not
does
even
not
fan
make a
clubs.
single mention about this that's going to happen.
No,
That is,
and
Apparently,
how
he
dare
wasn't even
they?
there for the
How
meeting. He
dare they?
wasn't there.
You know,
Woodward
how
wasn't
dare
there
they
for that
misuse
meeting.
the name of
Sorry.
Manchester United? Today
Yeah,
Exactly.
today Chelsea and Man City are going to have the moral high ground over Manchester United. How dare they do that? It's not their it's not their property. They own the club, but the club belongs to the fans, it belongs to the player, it belongs to people like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it belongs to people like Gary Neville, not to an idiot who's sitting out there in America who cares more about his profits, who cares more about making revenue, who cares more about everything that goes on off the field, and doesn't give two shits about what's going on the field.
let me
Right.
come in here and then I'll ask you guys what you think about it just to streamline this. Because obviously everyone has their thoughts and it is a very sensitive topic. But obviously it's becoming more and more evident that over the last 24 hours we reached a stage where the Super League is 100% happening because everyone was stepping down. Now we've reached a stage that the Super League won't happen because everyone's resigning from their positions. The 14 clubs had their meeting. So my first question to the three of you all is, how do you penalize these six clubs for thinking like the way they thought that they're the biggest clubs in England? Do you now have a point deduction? Do you now just send them down, relegate them? Because if you don't do anything, as all three of y'all have said, anyone can redo this with with the state that, well, nothing's going to happen to me if it doesn't go ahead eventually. So what are your
Hmm.
takes on how do we punish these six clubs?
I have a slightly different perspective on this. I mean, I don't know how many of you will agree. Um, like we discussed this, the people responsible for this aren't the players, isn't the manager, isn't the support staff. It's the Glazers and Woodward, obviously. It's the 4 or 5 of them who wanted their money and who wanted this done.
Hmm.
A points deduction would obviously hurt their finances for sure, because they won't get the league position that we are in right now. But it'll hurt the players and the manager much more. It'll hurt the fans much more. What I could see is what I would like to see is the Glazers and Woodward being sanctioned. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know, maybe forcing them to step down and leave the club, or I don't know how it could be done, but sanctioning the club as a whole is a sort of, again, it's I don't think I completely agree with it.
So I think there are two ways to go about it. I think the owners should be personally fined. The club should not be fined. So there is a
Yeah,
way that legally they can fine the owners directly for thinking this. Because the proposers, if you see, are Joel Glazer as vice president, Angeli, who was also vice president of the club, who is
and
also
Perez as the
of the league.
president.
Perez is, I don't even want to talk about the scum. So what I think that first of all that can happen. The second is the Premier League can request the government in order to bring 51% fan ownership in every single club, and that will itself root these idiots out of the country and out of the club, hopefully. That
Hmm.
is the second thing that can happen. Or the third thing is, I know that the Premier League has these laws where you have to abide by, that you have to clear certain
Yeah.
barriers that you can't break legally, like why Mohammed bin Salman was not allowed to buy Newcastle United. So I'm sure that these kind of things can have violated those clauses, and those ownerships can be revoked. I think those steps also can be taken if they're actually serious about doing something.
Hmm.
And I think they should be taken, revoke their ownerships. I'm sure they violated some of those clauses. Go and revoke their ownerships. Get these absolute scum, Cronky, Glazers, Levy, even get Ibrahim,
Henry.
Roman out, Sheikh Mansour, get them out of the country. I don't care if Chelsea and City were the first to step down. Get them out of
Hmm.
the country, and that's the only way we save football now. It's enough. We take a stand. And if this happens, we also don't have to hear about the ridiculous 200 million transfers and the incredible wages these guys are paid just to go out there and perform. Imagine being an Arsenal fan at this point. Imagine being an Arsenal. At least we're second in the league. At least we're doing something. Why would Chelsea and City enter this league? Because yes, they'll make money, but they actually have a chance to win it.
Yeah.
Manchester United, Arsenal, and Spurs have just entered this league to line their pockets. We have
Hmm.
absolutely no chance to win it. We are nowhere near good enough to win this league, and our owner has never invested a single penny from his own
Penny.
pocket. And
Exactly.
once it's guaranteed that he doesn't need, winning and losing doesn't matter anymore, we'll come last every single year. Arsenal
Hmm.
will be with us, Spurs will be with us, and nothing's going to happen there.
and
Yeah,
and
very
that's
true.
that's one downfall of the Super League. What if so apparently teams of other five teams are going to come via invites. Let's say Leicester, West Ham are invited to the league, and they somehow win it. What's the guarantee they'll stay in the league the
No, but
following
Sid,
season?
just
They've
imagine the elitism in the word invite. It's a
exactly
professional competition.
precisely.
It's a professional competition where teams are being invited. You
It
need
was
to qualify
Prashant,
for a bloody
Precisely.
competition. You
it,
aren't
it wasn't
invited.
this the concept was basically pre-season where you're invited to participate, but
Exactly.
this is a very well-paying pre-season for these clubs. But let's take into
And
account.
Vishesh, just one sec, Sid mentioned the five clubs. Make no mistake, these five clubs are going to be the same five clubs that are going to be relegated and promoted each year.
Yeah, yeah.
Huh.
Because who else is going to
Exactly.
take this chance?
Exactly.
Nobody's going to take a gamble that one year I'm there and the next time not there. There's no real
Hmm.
structure of how those five clubs are going to be there. It's based on these random whims and fancies of Glazer and Perez.
Okay, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I think that makes complete sense. But we focus on the Super League. We focus on the repercussions. Let's talk about
So
let's yeah, sir.
oh,
Before
sorry. I just got this thing. Apparently, all 12 clubs, all the founding members of the Super League are on a Zoom call right now while we are shooting the video. I think
obviously
probably
when
tomorrow
We have
we
also
might
been
have
invited to the
That
call.
was
we
to
might have a proper announcement tomorrow of the
yeah.
cancellation of the
anyway,
Super League.
that
Hopefully.
being said, getting back to the topic, let's focus down on Manchester United. We're all happy for one reason at the moment, and that is because the snake Ed Woodward is out. I'm first going to come to Prayan and then Sid and Prasham, you can weigh in. How big an achievement is this? Whether he was going to resign at the end, whether he was going to resign 5 years from now, whether he was at the forefront of this, whether Glazers, I don't care about that. All the question is how big is it that Woodward is gone and how much can we improve from here and how do we improve from here?
Yeah, Vishesh, I think it's a huge thing that's happened. And if we consider that he wasn't going to resign anyway, if we think of that, then it's literally our fan voices, our fan opinions, the videos that we've put out. I mean, not only us, it's all over the world. And this is what the uproar that the ESL has caused in the fans and the pundits everywhere. I think that's what has caused him to resign from his position. And if that is the case, this is a big win for the fans of football and the lovers of football, because we know that even though we're not financially in power, or we don't have the shares in the team, we still can mm, we can't we can manage to not let these people make such decisions for our club. And that is huge. I think this is a it sets a sort of I'm not getting the word.
It's a precedent of sorts.
Precedent, correct. It sets a precedent that the fans have a voice, and we are effective, and we can do something about footballing decisions.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's completely right. Sid and Prasham, how do you see it going on from here given Ed Woodward's gone?
See, Vishesh, the first thing is I don't know who's going to replace him. That is something I hope there is someone from the footballing world who has some sort of working understanding of how the football leagues work rather than how the banking and investment banking circles of America work. I hope that is someone who's appointed as that. The second thing is that I feel the government should strictly crack down. I think they've already initiated a fan led inquiry into the state of football, and everyone is expecting the outcome of that to be that fans should own 51% of all clubs, and the government should strongly implement this, and the Premier League should strongly enforce this, and this will eradicate half the problems we are facing. not all the problems we're facing, because obviously Perez has had the balls to do it, even though Madrid is sort of semi-fan owned. I also heard that Laporta of Barcelona cannot sort of go ahead and pass this, because I don't know how to pronounce it, but the Barcelona ultras are essentially, their vote has to be taken before the
Yeah.
CEOs, I think they're called.
Mm.
Their vote has to be taken before they can pass something like this, and that itself will stop this sort of greed mongering that goes on. And we need to adopt the German league model, and there's no question about it anymore.
Mm.
And this has sort of, like I said, this could be the best thing that has happened to football. I said it before as well to a lot of people who have been in contact with, that this is the best thing that could have probably happened to football. It's laid bare what the Glazers, what Kroenke care about. It's just absolutely laid it bare. And one of the directors has even said that revenue is our number one priority. It's absolutely
Yeah.
there's nowhere to hide from them for them. It's sort of the three-headed dragon
And
has
it's not
emerged,
like we
and
didn't
it's
know
time to
this.
cut them.
We knew this.
Yeah, we knew this, but now
It's
there's
not
no
like we didn't know
hiding. There's
this.
no
We knew
hiding.
this.
You know,
Yeah.
there's now there is not the opportunity to sign Edinson Cavani and say that we've signed a big name and we care about this club. That opportunity is long gone. Now
Yeah.
anything they do, they will forever be remembered as absolute traitors, not just to Manchester United but also to football.
Yeah.
Sid, what's your take on this?
Look, about who will replace Woodward, I have no idea. It's probably going to be another puppet of the Glazers. The end game is the Glazers should be out. They have to be out only they, and competent people have to take over. Only then can this football club succeed, or else nothing. Like imagine if the Glazers are out, and people come in who are 10 times worse than them. What was the point then?
You
What
you
was the point?
really can't pick and choose who's going to own the club at the end of the day. If it turns out to be the 51% ownership that does take place as Prashant,
That'd be ideal.
that would be
That would be
ideal.
ideal.
But let's see how things go. The latest news as of right now is apparently that the Glazers family are having thoughts on finding the best exit strategy to leave Manchester United. The club are planning on announcing Ed Woodward's departure to the New York Stock Exchange before consulting the fan base.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
They
One
should
more
sit and
thing.
focus on their
Yeah.
Tampa Bay team.
yeah,
They should focus on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Just leave Manchester. Just don't come
Yeah.
here. Don't show us your faces.
Right. Had they used the template they used for Tampa Bay, to bring success to Tampa Bay, had they done that with Manchester United, then we would be having a different conversation
American
about.
football
But
is
we don't
different.
know.
It's not the same thing.
No, I'm just
Yeah.
if they showed the same passion they're showing for Tampa Bay to
Yeah.
Manchester United, then we would be having a different conversation. But that's
Yeah.
definitely not the case. And I just want to give a huge shout out to Jordan Henderson, who's come out again and publicly said that we don't like it and we don't want it to happen. This is our collective position. Our commitment to this football club and its supporters is absolute and unconditional. You'll never walk alone. So he's speaking for each and every captain who
Brilliant.
was there in
Brilliant.
that Zoom meeting. And this is very commendable. And today I will say football has won.
okay, that
Yep.
sounds like Arnab Goswami talking, but anyway.
The
Uh,
nation wants to know.
that being said, let me put it this way: we know that the players are united. We know that the managers.
Mhm.
We know about everything that's going on within the club now. Uh, we can possibly talk about how the players react come Saturday/Sunday whenever we're playing the game. Uh, but what what's next? What's next for Manchester United? Because clearly this will have some sort of an impact on Manchester United's summer transfers because of the impact that it will have on the stock market for us, the kitty that will be provided to United. Do you see Ole being a victim of the the Super League per se because he may just not get his signings again?
Who isn't? Who isn't a victim of this?
Vishay, I think it's too early to comment on it, because there's a sort of a flurry of news that
Yeah.
is just coming from all sort of ends. There is also news that Arsenal are next, and Stan Kroenke is also looking to sell the club. And I'm just reading that news right now that Kroenke is also looking
Hmm.
for an exit strategy. So if the likes of Kroenke and the likes of Levy and the likes of the Glazers are out, then you don't know what kind of budget we'll get. Then you don't know what's
Is
going to happen.
is this the COVID that football needed?
Yeah,
And it,
this is Vishesh. I'm telling you, this 5 years, 10 years down the line, this could be the thing that we look back on and be like, this was the tipping point that actually made football better, because it's just unmasked that three-headed dragon, and we need to chop the head off, and the head includes the likes of Glazers, Perez, uh, Kroenke. I understand why Spurs would join it. They don't care about they don't care. They don't have any history. They have nothing to do it. But the fact that Liverpool and Manchester United had the gall to do this, the fact that the Glazers and Matt Henry think that they have the right to do this is shocking. Is
Hmm.
shocking. It shows you how far away, how far off they are from what these clubs have stood for. It shows you how far away they are from the cities. They're showing you how far removed they are from any sort of understanding. They're in their ivy towers and they don't understand what's happening. And they don't. I've never seen someone misread the pulse of a nation and a pulse of fans so badly.
Yep.
And then
Precisely,
let
precisely.
me let me just end. Let's end on this. That we've seen what people can do when they come together. What would be an issue that you think that now all the players should unite and get out of football again? Is it racism? Is it this ownership talk you're talking about? Is it, what do you think needs to be worked on in the same manner as what we've done for this?
It, it it has to be racism because um, yes, football is a sport we all love, but racism is much worse. So I think if the players unite against racism, the way actually fans and players, the way we've united against this European Super League, we need to unite against racism just like that.
Yep.
There are so many issues, Vishesh. There are so many issues. There are so many issues that I can go from players' salaries to transfers. Obviously, racism is not as footballers, but just as humans, we should be uniting on that and fighting and speaking out against it. And there are so many things that are going on in terms of
Yeah,
women's
but
football and the
Prashant,
development.
the thing is that uh, this football is a sport. It does have a lot of issues, but that's what makes it so beautiful. But the issues like racism, these are things where uh, it doesn't help you anywhere. It has to go. And yeah, I mean, just coming back to Sid's point, I think these social causes, um, like racism, I think they have no place in
But
society.
there are
And
so many problems in football. I'll tell you, I have a problem with Manchester United going out and scouting 6 and 8 year olds to get them signed up for the academy. We're selling dreams to kids that we're not going to be able to fulfill.
Hmm.
How many 6 or 8 year olds do you think are going to make it? It's just abhorrent that we've gotten to this. What are you going to do next? What NBA does? You see how tall their parents are and then sign them up for a program. Are we going to do that next? It's abhorrent. There should be legal limits. There should be laws where you cannot scout players below this age, where you cannot do these things. There are so many problems with football which we are not addressing. You call it child labor when people work in factories. What is this if not child labor? You think a 8 year old wants to makes that decision that I want to go and do hard training at Manchester United's academy? Yes, they might dream to play for Manchester United, but do you think in 8 years old they're going to do that hard work at Manchester United? Every year you see a 15-year-old making a debut, 60. Yes, while we all enjoy that, it's a great story. Why are they so good at that? How long are they going to play for? Are they going to retire by 28? There's only that much physical pain a body can take, and we are absolutely destroying lives here. And as a football fan, it's shocking. And I was so disappointed last about 2 months ago. United appointed a scout for an 8 year old for under eight footballs. Under eights. At that age, you probably should be just playing for the fun of the game and the love of it, not getting into some rat race of starting playing for Manchester United.
I think you've summed it up well, and I get, guys, as I mentioned when this full thing came out, it's a very fluid situation. As I said, 24 hours ago, all these four faces were crying with the news. Today, 24 hours later, all of us are smiling with Woodward being out. But I still have a request to all the fans who are probably in Manchester right now. I know there is a meetup happening on Saturday for the Glazers out. You guys stood by. A lot of you guys told us that in 2005 that the Glazers were the wrong ones. Majority of the fan base didn't agree. Last 3 4 years, you guys have stood by the fact that Glazers are the wrong ones. We all know that, but it's time to get them out, and we cannot let it slide this time. We let it go when we didn't get our transfers. We can't let it go this time. So if you guys are going for the event, do let us know in the comments below. We'd love to see you there. But until then, good night, and it's a good day for football.